What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. With the MLB Trade Deadline fast approaching, it's time to look at which teams are shaping up to be buyers, sellers, or somewhere in between. Thanks to the extended playoff format, it feels like almost every team is going to be a buyer because they have so many teams now. So it's going to be hard to go if they're going to go all in and be buyers and hopefully make a run, or be sellers and trade their young players or old, even veterans, for prospects. So let's hop into it. Starting with the AL West, we have the Athletics in 5th place. I think they're going to be like right in the middle of sellers or buyers, because right now they're 17 games out of 1st place and 11.5 out of a wild card. You look at that and you're like, there should be sellers. But if in reality, they're not that bad of a team. They have Lawrence Butler, Nick Kurtz, who just had a 4-homer game. They have a lot of young, Jacob Wilson even, a lot of young good pieces that they should hold on to instead of selling. But I do think so I don't think they're going to be buyers or sellers because they're not good enough to compete for a playoff spot right now, but they're not going to trade their young guys. Moving on to the Angels, I can see them being sellers, honestly. They're 10 games out of 1st place and 4.5 out of wild card. So 4.5 out of a wild card does not seem like that much, but they have to jump 5 teams, so I think Jorge Soler's, Travis d'Arnaud's, those guys are going to be traded at the deadline. The Rangers, I think, are going to be buyers because they're only half a game out of a wild card, and if they get a couple more pitchers, they could be a legit playoff contender again, because they, like I said, only half a game out of a wild card, and their offense is scary. The Mariners, they're going to be buyers. They already proved it by getting Josh Naylor. We don't have to mention this, but they're 5 games out of 1st place behind the Astros in 1st in the wild card, so they're going to be buyers. The Astros, I've heard through the grapevines that they're going to not just be buyers, aggressive buyers. They hold the division lead, and they're just going to be buyers. They've had so many injuries, too. Like, they could be in on Gino because Isaac Paredes tore his ACL or hamstring. Yeah, the Astros are going to be aggressive buyers, in my opinion. Moving on to the AL Central, the White Sox in 5th place. I think they're going to be sellers. They have 38 wins. That should say it all. 21.5 games out of 1st place and 16.5 out of a wild card. Luis Robert Jr., Miguel Vargas even, Shane Smith, all those guys are going to be gone at the deadline. And White Sox get what they deserve. It's time that ownership like leads by example, sells everyone, and they have a winning culture in a couple of years. The Twins, I think, are going to be sellers. They're only 9 games back, but they're 4 out of a wild card. But like the Angels, they have to jump 5 teams to even be in the 3rd wildcard spot, which I think is too many with the 55-ish games left, so the Twins will be sellers. Moving on to the Royals, I think they're going to be buyers. They just proved it today during the Diamondbacks game by grabbing Randall Grichuk, but they're 9 games out of 1st place and 4 out of a wild card. I know I've been saying 4 games out is not enough for teams, but I really believe in this team. This Royals team, I think, is just going to come together for the final 55-ish games and just be crazy. I feel like they have a better offense than the Twins, and I think the Royals legit might be a playoff team by the end of this year. Mark my words. Moving to the Guardians, they're going to be sellers, even though they're in 2nd place. You're like, they're in 2nd place, why they're going to be in sellers? Well, it's because their offense and the whole team this year has not been good. 2 weeks ago, they lost 7 games in a row. This team does not seem like a playoff contender, so they might. I don't think Jose Ramirez, but they just traded Ahmed Rosario. They're going to be sellers for sure at the deadline. Moving on to the Tigers, they have the 2nd best record in baseball. So I think they're going to be buyers just because they have the 2nd best in baseball, and no one expected that. But they do need to figure it out soon because they're 1 in their last 9 in their last 10. But I hope they don't figure it out before the next 4 days because we play them in 3 days. So let's hope they don't figure it out before then. Moving on to the AL East, in 5th place, I have the Orioles, who are going to be sellers. They're 15.5 games out of a wild card, or out of 1st place, and 9 out of a wild card. They already kind of showed it by selling Gregory Soto. Felix Bautista, I think, might even be gone. They have a lot of young cores that will be gone soon. The Rays are going to be sellers and buyers. They're 9 games out of 1st place and 1.5 out of a wild card. This Rays team has been sneaky good this year. But the Rays do this every year. They sell high on guys and trade them in for their value, but get young pitchers in return, so they have this revolving door of good teams. So I think they're going to do that again, but they're sneaky good this year. Only 1.5 games out of a wild card. Who saw that from the Rays? Moving on to the Red Sox, I think they're going to be buyers. They're in that third wildcard spot and only 7.5 out of first place, but they do desperately need pitching. If they do be buyers, they're for sure going to aim for pitching. Moving on to second place in the AL East, the Yankees, they're for sure going to be buyers. They're 6 games out of first place in a wild card, like I said. And they just traded for Ryan McMahon, which proves my point, a great bat. But they do need upgrade on defense, which is what they got with McMahon. The Blue Jays, they're going to be buyers. First place, the best record in baseball. They're clicking on all cylinders right now. To be honest, I think they should be buyers, but I don't know what they're going to do. You might not want to trade this team that's just really flipping good right now. Moving on to our first NL team, the Rockies. This team is miserable. They're going to trade older guys like Orlando Arcia and let the young prospects eat. Yeah, they're 33.5 out of first place and 27.5 out of a wild card. So the Rockies are for sure going to be sellers. The Diamondbacks, this one sucks. The team just got so injury hurt and everything. They're going to be sellers. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Geno Suarez, Josh Naylor has already been traded. They're all going to be traded, and they're 10 games out of first place and 4 out of a wild card. Even though they're going to be sellers, they're going to get young pitching in return. And don't be surprised if this Diamondbacks team makes a playoff spot. I don't think they will, but they might. Moving on to the Giants, I think they're going to be buyers. They're 7 out of first place, 1 game out of a wild card. They've slowed down as of late, but they started off this year insanely hot, and they were awesome the first 2 months of the season. Cooled down a little bit, got hot again, but Bob Melvin is doing great things with this Giants team. They're going to be buyers. The Padres are going to be buyers. They're 6 games out of first place, currently hold a third wildcard spot, and like the Giants, they started out wicked hot, kind of cooled down and then gained speed again lately. So the Giants and the Padres will be buyers. The Dodgers, they're going to be buyers. First place in the NL West. I don't know what they need. More pitchers because their pitching staff is injured. But if they had everyone healthy, they would not need pitchers. But they're just, I hate to say it as a Diamondbacks fan, the Dodgers are insane every year. Moving on to the NL Central, in 5th place are the Nationals. They have a lot of young talent, promising guys like James Wood, Mackenzie Gore, C.J. Abrams. So they're going to be good very soon, but I think they're going to just hold on to those guys and not trade anyone because you don't want to get one of a James Wood or Mackenzie Gore. But they are currently 18.5 games out of first place and 13.5 out of a wild card. The Braves, they're going to for sure be sellers. It's been a disappointing year for this team. All the injuries to everyone and just regression. They're 15 out of first place and 10 out of a wild card. The Marlins, I think they're going to be neutral because they have a lot of young studs in that lineup, like Connor Norby, Kyle Stowers. They're kind of like the Nationals, just a little better. I will say, though, they have shocked some teams this year, but they just have a lot of young talent that you don't want to risk trading, especially when you're not in a playoff hunt right now. They're 10 games out of first place and 5 out of a wild card. The Phillies, they're going to be buyers. They're tied for first place with the Mets and currently are tied in the second wild card with the Mets too. This team does need more pitching, but the Phillies are nasty this year. The Mets, I think they're going to be buyers. They're tied with the Phillies in the second wild card spot. If the Mets do not have that 2-week stretch where they were terrible, the Mets would be in first place by a lot. Baseball happened, and the Mets were not good for a couple of weeks. On to the NL East, the Pirates, I think they're going to be sellers. I hope Paul Skeens gets traded, get him out of Pittsburgh. They're probably not going to trade him, though. But O'Neal Cruz, Andrew McCutchen, maybe Andrew, actually. But for sure, O'Neal Cruz, they're going to be sellers. The Pirates have not been good since that Johnny Cueto era of the wild card, so I feel bad for you Pirates fans. They're 19.5 out of first place and 13 out of a wild card. On to 4th place, the Cardinals. They're going to be buyers, but they have been slumping as of late. It's like they were great in the first half, and as soon as that calendar tricked to the second half, they've not been good, getting swept by not the amazing Diamondbacks. But they're going to be buyers still. They're 8.5 out of first place and only 1.5 out of a wild card. They can for sure make up 1.5 with no teams ahead of them in 50 games. The Reds, I think, are going to be buyers. The Reds have a good, fun, young team this year. Guys like Spencer Steer, Ellie De La Cruz, Tyler Stevenson. They have a lot of veterans that also are older and young guys like Ellie, like we just mentioned. They're only 7.5 out of first place and 1 game out of a wild card. The Reds, they could for sure go on a run and make the playoffs. The Reds are a good team this year. Moving on to 2nd place in the NL East, the Cubs. they're going to be buyers. The only thing this team needs is pitching, especially bullpen help. Their bullpen is not great, but like Pete Crow Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, and many more have helped this Cubs team be fantastic this year. On to first place in the NL East, the Brewers. They're going to be buyers. First place, Freddie Peralta. They always have a young, amazing core like Freddie Peralta, Jackson Chourio, and a lot of other good players that are on this team, so they're for sure going to be buyers. But that wraps up on my takes on which MLB teams will be buyers and sellers at the trade deadline. But however, things can change quickly. There's a lot of teams from first to fourth that could change at any day because of the extended wild card. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Who's going to go all in or reset. But make sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications, especially because I'll be live streaming the day of the MLB trade deadline and reacting right here, reacting to all the trades right like as they come in. So make sure to stay tuned for that and watch that live stream. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day and